What up? Future Kurt here. This episode you're about to hear is from our former Patreon. So this was released a year ago behind a paywall, and now here it is, free of charge. We had an emergency with a family member this past week, so we were not able to record. But you're in luck, because this is, you guessed it, a banger. Now, I gotta warn you, we talk about a 48 Hours episode, and it might be my favorite 48 Hours episode of all time. There are three things that come up in this episode that I'm gonna warn you about now, in case you want to skip it. There's talk about suicide, semen, and what's the other one? Breast mutilation. That's it. That's the one. Anyway, those three topics do come up here. So again, feel free to skip this up if you want, but it's pretty fascinating. Let's get to it. Attention shoppers, we've got to clean up on Aisle H.
What the other wolves think?
A true crime cleanup on Aisle H.
Diabolical.
Starting now.
Oh, he's telling you that she's bats.
Howdy, Holeheads. Kurt Money here, alongside my co-host,
Kateline.
And we are here to talk about, should we be in trouble for this? We're talking about a Dateline competitor, a direct competitor tonight. We're talking about 48 Hours episode.
48 Hours. Not as bad as 2020.
Oh, certainly not. I mean, I would go as far to say that 48 Hours is good. Do you not think it's good?
Well, if we're doing shows that aren't Dateline,
right, in
the ranking, it's definitely higher up than 2020.
Yeah, that's a boom. Dateline is no doubt above it. I will say I've got some... There was, to quote Casey Wilson, watching this episode of 48 Hours was a real breath of fresh. Okay? There was a lot about this episode where I was like, thank you. Thank you for doing that, show. Okay? Like, I just, anyway, we'll get into it. And this is a safe space, okay? I know we're talking to our Holt heads, but they'll know that any criticism I have of Dateline is really about the cock.
Yes.
Okay? All right, so we are talking about the episode Blood in the Sand, originally aired in June of 2018. Now, Kate, why do we know that? Why do we know when it originally aired?
I don't know why.
It was at the very beginning, written on the top. But this is one of many things I love about this episode, forget even the content of it, is that they're not ashamed of when it originally aired. What do you think?
Do you kind of wish that Dateline did that?
Oh, it's not kinda, Kate. It's like, it tears me apart sometimes when I think about that they don't.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, something else, is 48 Hours left the old graphics in. Those are the graphics that they were using in 2018. And I loved it. So when you say, does it kind of bug me? It hella bugs me. Give me your opinion on this whole scenario, okay? I mean, what are your thoughts here? Wasn't it nice? Wasn't it nice to see, like, even 7-year-old graphics packages? Wasn't that fun?
Yeah, it was. It was a little trip down memory lane, for sure.
Yeah. In one of them, so there's a YouTube version of the P+. Wait, that's going to be nitty-gritty stuff. I'm going to kick that down the road for people who are... I don't know. I'm not going to front load this with things that only I find interesting.
Okay.
Because I think that'll be a bummer for everybody but me.
Yes.
This was hosted by Richard Schlesinger. What do you think about that? Did I say that right?
Schlesinger.
You ever partied with this dude before?
I've seen him a few times. He interviews celebrities occasionally for the news.
Oh, okay. Wait, like AC did Charlie Sheen?
Are you willing to take a drug test?
Sure, you got a cup?
Like, is he like a top dog they bring in to, like, talk to real peeps or what?
Yeah, maybe he's a top dog. Okay. But I was familiar with him.
I like him. And actually, there's another 48 Hours that is now on the ILH Patreon future list where I loved his toot. He says something like, okay, well, that's not what happened, but anyway.
Nice.
You don't know that for sure, but go ahead.
I love it, and I love that he has old man bald head.
He's got old man bald head. He's got, like, the least cool glasses. He's just leaning into who he is.
Exactly.
He's not trying to have, like, a J-Mank fade.
Right. Or AC veneers. I didn't right?
Uh-huh.
I was like, this guy's bald, and there's no piece, there's no plugs, there's no nothing. He's not even shaving it to be like Mr. Cool, Mr. Clean.
No.
Like, it's like the half comb over in the back, and then poofy on the sides. It felt nice. Okay, here is the IMDb description. 2 teenage girls are brutally killed on the same California beach 6 years apart. 30 years later, DNA on one of the victims leads to 2 suspects. One of them worked for police. All right, Kate, it's time. Give me your overalls on this app. What'd you think?
Well, I don't know if I'd actually seen this before or what, but I knew about this whole case.
When they start talking Torrey Pines,
yeah,
that's what was familiar to me. Is that for you as well?
Yep, it's the Torrey Pines State Beach murders.
Right. So you were familiar with the case, but did you like this app? I'm wondering, was it a Lobster Boy sitch where you're like, why'd you pick this?
Well, it did seem kind of like a normal episode. I was curious why you picked it. Not that it was bad. It's a solid ep. It just seems kind of random.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll leave it for the bomb drop that happens later, for what shocked me and I still think about and I still tell people about.
For 4 years, apparently.
To find out the name of this episode, I searched my texts because I was like, my group of friends, we call it TVT. That stood for Television Tuesdays and Television Thursdays. So we got a thread called TVT. I searched it because I remember I told all these fools about this and said, you gotta watch this episode of 48 Hours. It revealed something to me that I had no idea was the practice back in the day. And I was...
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. But anyway, so I searched my text and there it was. And I was like, 2021, Kurt, thanks for doing this, dude. All right. So you liked this, but you're kind of like, what's up?
Yeah.
That's fair. Other than the bomb drop, I would also like to say that this episode is a cautionary tale for things that we always repeat. Never take a polygraph and never talk without a lawyer. I think this case is an excellent example of that. And, there's a parade coming through, and it's led by the San Diego Police Department. And what's that float say? Oh, right. It says Dingus Parade. We are full force going dinguses today. Am I right?
Well, yes. But I'm looking for an even worse word than dingus.
The retired criminalists know what they saw.
Our story begins in August of 1978 in San Diego. Ralph and Judy Nantes, they're about to go out for the weekend, and they warn their kids, one of which is 15-year-old Barbara Nantes, don't get in any trouble, okay? Don't be smoking and drinking. Don't be doing the stuff that you want to do when we're not here. And they say, you got it, Mom. And the dad, Ralph, says to her boyfriend, 17-year-old Jim Alt, you keep my daughter safe. And Jim Alt says, you got it, sir. That's just what I'll do.
It's the biggest mistake or the biggest lie I've ever told in my life.
And the very beginning of this 48 Hours, we are introduced to Mr. Jim Alt. What'd you think about this guy, Kate?
This guy is a classic surfer type.
Yeah.
He's older now, obviously.
Yep.
But
still got that ponytail, though.
Ponytail, blonde, questionable facial hair.
Questionable tattoos.
He's just chilling. He's like a California beach bum type.
Who is a dead ringer for Beau Bridges, both in face and voice, kinda.
You know I don't do contracts, but what you do have is my word, and it's stronger than oak.
Jim was like locally famous because he was featured on like a cover of like a surfing magazine.
This was wild. They show the photo that was in this surfing magazine, and you can't even tell who the kids are. It's like a group of these surfer kids. No. And he said that it made them famous around town and they were signing autographs and stuff. But you can't even make out who is who. It could be anybody. It's like such a low-res photo. Not because of 48 Hours, because of the actual magazine. But that's what it was like back then. Ooh, you're in a magazine. You're famous.
Yeah, and that's a world I miss, okay, where the pool of things to entertain people when they're not working was so much smaller than it is today. And that's why TV shows were so big, because there were only 5 channels to pick from, right? We're like, that's why when you were in a commercial, people saw it and you were famous for it. Like now that only happens if you're Flo or something.
Right.
Are you Flo?
Yes.
Anyway, it was adorable. And that's where the adorable stuff ends. Because as soon as the Nantes tear out of there for their weekend away, Barbara and Jim hop in the station wagon of their friends and they set off for the Torrey Pines Beach. They're going camping.
Yeah, but they don't have tents. Some are going to sleep in the car. Some are just going to sleep in sleeping bags right on the sand.
Yeah, which I respect. I feel like I've been in this camping setup where it's like, we brought booze. Like, forget a tent. I'm going to sleep where I sleep. And that, unfortunately, is kind of what half this party did. The party ended at 9:30. I assume because that's when, maybe the beach was closing at 10 or something.
Probably, yeah.
So half of them, they crash in the station wagon, but Jim and Barbara put 2 sleeping bags together, which is a good move, and they go to get some alone time under the bridge. And what happens when Jim Alt wakes up the next morning?
Jim wakes up and he's covered in blood. His face is swollen. I think one of his eyes is like swollen shut.
Yeah.
He is all confused. He doesn't know what's going on, and he doesn't see Barbara. So he gets up and he stumbles and crawls up to the parking lot where his friend's car is, where the station wagon is. And he knocks on the window trying to wakes somebody up, and his friends see him, and he has clearly been beaten to shit.
Yes.
His face was swollen, blood all over his blonde hair, and his head was probably about that big.
And he's like, I don't know where Barbara is. Go find Barbara. And one of the friends tears down to the beach and finds Barbara, and she has been murdered.
Yeah. And like all the stuff, assaulted, like physically mutilated with a knife, clothes are off. Like there was something happened to these two very bad the night before. And they're in the actual parking lot too. And the guy got down on his hands and knees and was like acting out Jim, knocking on his car window, being like, go find Barbara. That must have been brutal stuff. But he yells for somebody to call the cops, and the police show up. And right away, their first inclination is to go like, this is probably Jim. But then they're like, oh, Jim's in the hospital, near death. His brain cage is broken. This guy, there's no way this guy could have done this to himself. So he's cleared straight away.
And he's in there for a while. They have to put a metal implant into the front of his head because his brain wasn't being protected. So he's got a huge metal plate like across his forehead.
Yeah, and now specifically what he said was, he said, when he's listing the stuff off for Richard, he says, I've got titanium in my cranium.
Yeah.
I've got titanium in the cranium, stainless steel.
Now, based on where he lives, his hairstyle, the fact that he has a Chinese symbol on the back of his hand, and that soul patch goatee, I'm willing to bet cold hard cash those are lyrics to a song that Jim has written. That's a Jim Alt original that he put in a song, and those are some of the lyrics. What do you think?
Okay. You think he's a deadhead or more like a Margaritaville kind of guy?
Let's go Margaritaville.
Okay.
I liked him, and I feel bad for him because right away, those parents come in town, and Ralph, Barb's dad, is like, great. Like, you had one job, dude. You had one job.
I thought that was so crazy. He was a kid. It's not up to him to protect your daughter. He needs to be protected too. They're children.
Yeah.
And it's on them for leaving their daughter with another child instead of an adult.
Yeah.
Now, this was a different time. Teenagers back then had a lot more freedom and were basically treated as adults much earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids today can't even drive cars. They choose not to. They stay inside. But back then, they were like little grown-ups. They were working full-time jobs somehow,
Yeah.
But still, it was harsh. I mean, he was almost killed himself, and they're blaming him.
You didn't keep my little girl safe. Yeah, I was very, very upset.
We also talked to the mom. Now, I will say this. I'm mad at the dad for blaming it on this child that his daughter got killed. But I really liked their vibe, especially the mom. Wasn't she awesome? When she was... Because also, Barbara's mom makes it super clear that Barbara was a pain in the ass. Right? Do you remember all this stuff? I was like, this was just a fun... I just love... We always got to hear the background on the fam and what Barbara was to the family. And I just love this mom's vibe that was like, oh, she was tough.
Yeah.
I thought it was very adorable.
Yeah. Teenagers.
She was a popular, defiant, beautiful, pain in the ass, wonderful daughter, God gave her to me to keep me humble, and it worked.
Okay, so specifically about the mutilations, there's one thing that stands out to the police at the time. It's that, like, one of her breasts, the nipple and areola was, like, cut and, like, removed. And there was sand shoved down her throat.
Right.
And they keep this in mind because in their minds, they're going, that's really unique. We should keep our eyes out for that. It doesn't sound unique to me, but we'll get to that. So, not remembering a thing, and no witnesses, and no evidence, this thing kind of goes cold fast, because they've got, like, nowhere to start.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it becomes a cold case. Now, people start to think about it again 6 years later, in 1984, when the body of Claire Huff is found. 14-year-old Claire Huff is found murdered near the same spot, and what they say with the same, like, MOs. Like, there was sand in her larynx, and her nipples were cut.
Yep.
And so they're thinking, we might have a serial killer starting off. Where's your head at right now, Kate?
I think it's tough because 6 years is a long time to go in between victims if it's the same killer. It could have been a copycat because now the beach is known for what happened to Barbara.
Yeah.
But again, there's not a lot to go on.
Yeah, and look, both those things sound like they're unique. But one, shoving something in your victim's mouth to shut them up is not. And there's a ton of sand. That seems a very doable thing for monsters on the beach. Mm-hmm. That seems like that's not very unique. And guess what else isn't unique? I mean, Ed Gein made a belt out of nipples, and Jerry Brudos filled them with sawdust and mounted them on the wall. Okay? So, unfortunately, boob mutilation is not unique.
Yeah, we've seen it a lot.
To them, it ties these two together, but they don't tell the family about this. Right? This is in 84. Like, these are still, as far as they know, unconnected murders. But they had even sent it to the FBI to get, like, what's it called when Douglas does his thing?
A profile?
That's it. Did a profile. And they even said it looks like they're connected because of the same MO and victim location. And I'm going, swing and a miss there, Douglas. But it's going to take a while.
Just feels like a copycat to me.
Or just another unfortunate rape on a beach.
Yeah.
We also meet Claire's parents, who I feel terrible for. We're not as cool as Barbara's parents. But we did hear that Claire was like a class mediator, and even her teachers were mad at her.
She was officially the class mediator, where students who were having problems in school would come to her to help them figure it out. Like an ombudsman?
What? Omnibus?
Did your college have one of those?
No. We had debate club or something.
No, an ombudsman was a college employee who would mediate any kind of issues before it would become like a legal thing.
No, that's brand new to me. I never heard of that.
Well, basically, I think that's what she was. But
to 14, that's like middle school.
That's ninth grade.
14?
Yeah, that's ninth grade.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, Kurt.
I'm sure for some cases, but...
Kurt, 14 is ninth grade for everybody.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay.
Were you, like, really young for your age? Like, for your grade? Were you one of the youngest kids in the grade?
Sounds like I'm old. I thought I turned 16 sophomore year, so that's why I'm thinking that 14...
Yeah, but if you turned 16 sophomore year, that means you were 15 in sophomore year, turning 16.
The first week of the year. Look, I'm sorry, Kate.
Oh, you are old.
Yeah.
You're September birthday. I'm an August birthday. And
so you get it? Or you're on the other side of it?
Other side of it.
Crazy. Okay. That's why this was weird. Look, that's crazy, and I'm going to go ahead and chalk it up to state rules. Now, I can go ahead and say Indiana. What state were you growing up in, Kate? Was it?
Who says it was even a state?
Dodge the bullet yet again.
Could be a territory.
You're right.
You're right. I know you're right.
But she was the omnibus. What'd you call it? Say it again.
Ombudsman?
Ombudsman.
Anyway, she took it too far because she ended up arguing with teachers about things.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, well, she was definitely right. And that's why they were getting mad.
Yeah. This little 14-year-old telling them what's what.
Yeah.
She actually lived in Rhode Island, and she was in San Diego in 84 visiting her grandmother. And she had gone out there with a friend. This was like their first time at a proper beach. Like, I know they had it in Rhode Island, but even the mom says this is like her first experience with the usual beach life. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Rhode Island beaches are not
rocks.
A lot of rocks and small, and they're pretty, but it's not California beaches. It is nothing, and it's nothing like, Florida beaches. It's a very different kind of beach.
Yeah. So she's loving it. So much so that one night she talks her friend into they're going to sneak out of her grandma's house and walk the 15 minutes to Torrey Pines and party. And they do this, but as soon as they get to the beach, her friend starts bawling and has a panic attack. And she's like, we got to get out of here. I can't do this. And they go back to the grandparents, and the friend makes Claire promise that she will not sneak out again on her own. And Claire says, I will not.
And you know what? Claire does.
Yeah, the friend goes home the next day, and 2 days later, Claire sneaks out on her own.
That friend...
And walked down to the beach.
That friend had a straight-up premonition. She could tell the vibes were bad.
Yeah, absolutely. It just really sucks how in both these scenarios, somebody was like, of all the times, I want you to focus on your safety this time. Like, please do not do anything. Like, this one more so, because the friend is like, just don't sneak out again and walk to that beach. Promise me you will not do that. And she's like, you got it, friend. But she could not deny.
The beach was calling to her.
That's the last we saw of her, because next morning, a beachcomber, as old Schlesinger calls him. Some articles call him a homeless man. Others call him a drifter. I'm going to go with beachcomber.
On August 24th, 1984, Claire Huff's body was found by a beachcomber near the bridge.
There's sand in her mouth, and her breasts have been mutilated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting, I did a lot of digging on this case otherwise. Like the guy that we talked to at the beginning, I read that article that he wrote, and I read a bunch of other articles about it to get my story straight on certain stuff that I'm going to be pissed about. And I'm pretty sure that with Claire, the whole breast was cut off. So it's not even the same sick mutilation. Right?
But could it be, if it is in fact the same killer, could it just be that they are escalating their own style?
There it is. I love that word. Escalating.
Escalating.
Could be that. Yeah.
Let's take the whole boob this time.
Yeah. So yeah, the cops, they're sitting there thinking that these must be connected, and they're looking into it. And the best lead they have is that poor Claire's parents, they fly out from Rhode Island and go down to the beach. And who do they run into but a guy named Wally Wheeler? Ends up being the beachcomber that found their daughter. And
it feels a little too convenient.
Just a little. And he's very eager to talk to them. Oh, and of course, we forgot to mention, he's also psychic.
Sure.
Forgive me.
Sure.
I left out the psychic part.
He said, I'm Wally Wheeler, I'm a psychic.
With his hand outstretched.
So what did you make of Wally Wheeler, the psychic?
And his parents tell the cops this, and they're like, we'll talk to him, see if we can get a confession or like something happens. And so they keep a correspondence where Wally Wheeler is writing them letters saying, I see your smiling face, and she speaks to me, and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who found a bloody, mutilated body, and he's talking about smiling face and radiant eyes.
The letters were odd, very odd.
But eventually, the letters stopped coming, and 4 years later in 1988, Wally Wheeler jumps off the 13th floor of a hotel and kills himself. This is the first of potentially 3 suicides in this episode.
Yes.
Just a heads up.
Good call.
Yeah.
Wild.
So if Wally Wheeler did it, he took it to his grave, because we don't know.
Didn't her parents at that point kind of think that he did it? They were continuing the correspondence because they had a feeling that he might have been the killer.
Yeah, and the 48 Hours makes a point to say that the cops had ruled him out. And I thought, please tell me, cops, you did not let them spend years thinking that was the killer. But at most, it was only 4. Still a long time.
Still a long time.
But when they were like, when we found out that he wasn't even a suspect anymore, it's like, so anyway, good job, SDPD. Okay, this continues.
SDDPD. San Diego Dingus Police Department.
Boom. Love it. That's what it is. And I've got a specific name, too. And you know I'm about to dox his ass on this show. You know I'm going to say everything I know about him. All right? I'm going to save it, but I'm going to say his name. Okay, so this thing goes cold for literally decades. Both murders. And the public had no idea of this theory that they were connected until 2008, when San Diego Police Department, puts on their Facebook page infos about their cold cases, and they point blank say that these two are related. Again, news to both families. They're going, what murder?
Newsflash. Who?
Yeah.
This other girl.
I was mad that it happened to Claire and that we weren't informed.
And a few more years pass. Now it's 2012. There's been a hell of a lot more advancements in DNA since 84. Like for this case, DNA was not around yet. And so they run some tests with the remaining stuff they have from both these cases. First up, Barbara. They go back to the evidence. They test it for samples, because all they had were blood and semen samples from back in the day, because that's all they could do. Mm-hmm. So they run it again. Unfortunately, no hits. Nothing in CODIS. So that's a bummer for Barbara. She's back to cold case status. Now, Claire, different story. They get hits on 2 guys. The first one, his name is Ronald Tatro. This first suspect sounds good for it because he's a well-known rapist. This guy's been in and out of jail forever for stuff just like this. And the cops say that they found his blood was a hit on 2 places. Extra info, Kate. It was a hit in 19 places.
19?
When asked to clarify, Detective Lambert, that's right, Detective Lambert, I said your name. He said, whoa, I meant the front and back of the jeans. Oh, so the jeans then? What do you mean that was 2 spots? What are you talking about? How about that, Kate?
That's very weird.
Yeah, and they also found a pubic hair that belonged to him as well. So that's this first guy that we're connected to.
Uh-huh.
And again, he sounds good for it. It sounds like this is the guy. And then the second hit is a match on the vaginal swab that they did of Claire Huff in 84. And now this matches to a guy named Kevin Brown. He was a criminalist for the San Diego Police Department. So right now we're thinking, one of their own.
Mm-hmm.
The other DNA, a tiny microscopic amount reportedly found inside Claire, was linked to a man named Kevin Brown.
And this is kind of a shock. Kevin Brown, he had worked for the San Diego Police Department since 82, all the way until his retirement in 2002. And he was a criminalist. Like, he's in, he carried a badge.
He's in the lab.
Right.
He carried a badge, but he's in the lab doing tests and helping with evidence. And he wasn't necessarily like a crime scene guy.
No. Although they do have pictures of him in a crime scene. I feel like he might have done it a little.
So if we're thinking about CSI, he's like Georgia Fox.
That means nothing to me.
Okay.
Sorry, Kate.
This is not what I had in mind.
Well, he wasn't a detective.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So now the cops are like, we got to find out more about Kevin Brown. What's his story? And this is... Deep breath, Kurt. This is where the problems begin.
So Kevin Brown, he's currently at this point, he's married.
Since 93.
Since 93. They don't have kids, but they're happily married. But they want us to know more about who he was back in 84.
Right.
Pre-marriage. And
Bachelor Kevin.
Yes. And they talk about how he liked porn and he liked to go to see dirty movies in the theater, which is where you had to see them back then.
Yeah. I mean, that's 100%, but also specifically strip clubs. He loved strip clubs and went to them a lot and apparently talked about them.
Right.
Did he brag about going to the strip clubs? I mean, did he make any secret of it?
Early on, I don't think he kept it a secret.
This was introduced as his dark side. This is where my guy with his nice old man bald head, Richard Schlesinger, losing points. This is not a dark side, you dweeb. This is not dark.
No.
At all. But anyway, keep going, Kate, because he had a nickname, right?
Was it Creepy Kevin?
It was Kinky Kevin.
Kinky Kevin. Kinky Kevin Brown. And I get that the stuff he was doing was completely innocuous. It's now, with the internet, it's what we all do all the time.
Yeah.
But back then, I guess not as many people did that. Or if they did, they didn't talk about it in the office like he did.
Right.
So in that way, they called him Kinky.
They called him Kinky Kevin?
Yeah, I would call it, his nickname was Kinky.
But they also kind of used this background on him as a way to suggest that maybe he was involved in the murder and the sexual assault because he liked porn and strip clubs.
Yeah. And this is so frustrating. We see it so much, and it's heavy duty in this freaking app. They really go to town on this and talk about how, like, he's in his early 30s, he's going to strip clubs. And you said it just a second ago. I want to stress that in this day and age, every single person on the planet has looked at porn because they're capable of doing it in their own spare time. And then they can go outside and be judgmental to everybody. But back then, if you wanted to see real life boobs, either on film or in real life, you had to go to a strip club or you had to go to a theater. I'm not mad at him for either of these things.
No, he was single.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his wife, who he met like a decade later, said he was never like that once they were married. And she also didn't care that he used to do that stuff.
Yeah.
He had a normal male sex drive. And that was back when he was single, and he would have thought, wow, this is great.
Because also, not only... Well, wait, real quick, the porn movie thing is so funny because we're talking to two criminalists that also worked with Kinky Kevin Brown back in the day. And they're like, really don't want to say it. And they're like, he did sometimes go with coworkers to... and Schlesinger's like, a dirty movie? And they're like, yeah, a porn movie, yeah.
He would go to, what, dirty movies?
I believe it was a porn movie, yes.
I feel like if those theaters were still around that played porn films, half of them would be like bachelor and bachelorette parties. I feel like it wouldn't be an embarrassment thing. What do you think?
It wouldn't be like the guy in the trench coat in the back row. It would be like a laugh a minute.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like strip clubs are like that now. I mean, those are definite spots for those kind of parties.
There's a lot of women in strip clubs.
Yeah. I've gone to strip clubs with women, and it was a friggin' blast.
I like strip clubs because as a woman, if I go in there and I am watching the dancers, they will they'll give the women watching special treatment.
Yep, bingo.
Because they know that we are not there to be pervy, and we will tip them just as well as anyone else.
Yep.
And we admire them for very different reasons.
I don't like there's nothing wrong with doing that as a job, and there's also nothing wrong with going to it as a customer. Like there should be zero shame in both sides of this. And I hate the world and how they treat it, Kate. It bugs the hell out of me because everybody's looking at porn, okay? Everybody.
Jillionaire's not.
Well, I'd rather is that so?
Kurt, she doesn't even know where to find it, even if she wanted to.
Okay. Here's what I'll say. 99.9% of the people that are accusing other people of watching porn and being deviants, those motherfuckers are watching porn. Mm-hmm. How about that? Do you like those numbers?
They might even be watching it more than the average person.
Yeah, absolutely. So that hobby, Kevin Brown, we got no problem with you. His second hobby, I also don't have any problem with him, but we got to admit, for back in the 80s, this was a suspicious side hustle for killers, and that was he was an amateur photographer.
Yes. Points deducted there.
In these private sessions, what would happen?
Adult type stuff.
Adult stuff. Naughty stuff.
Yes. Explicit photos.
Yeah, because, I mean, there's a lot of examples. Well, sadly, I mean, we've seen it on the show from the 2000s where you approach a girl and be like, I'm a famous this or that, or like, even then, okay, but let's say this, he's not approaching random women, okay? He was part of a thing that was advertised in the newspaper. Between 12 and 100 photographers would be at this boudoir shooting event. And if you wanted a free picture of yourself in a sexy outfit by a professional, you could show up there and get your picture taken.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with this either.
It was just portfolio building.
Yeah. Did you see the ad? They showed the ad for the boudoir shoot.
No.
And it was just like a cheesy drawing of a busty lady like in a bikini.
No, I love that.
In the 80s, he went to lingerie and boudoir shoots advertised in a local magazine.
And he was one of these photographers. And now, of course, as we can all imagine, sometimes the photographer and the subject would be like, hey, let's make a little bit more money. Let's go shoot some softcore or hardcore porn pics. Let's take this beyond like the bikini photo shoot and make a little bit more dough. And again, if both sides are on board with this, I say go for it.
Sure, of course.
Like Rodney Alcala, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Like he's an example. Like this was almost like a guaranteed job of serial killers then.
Totally. And if they had a van, even better.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah.
You know,
that's a great point.
I worked with this guy once who was, in his spare time, he was a dancer and an amateur photographer. And he would mostly photograph other dancers in his dance company. So he took a lot of pictures of movement and fabrics and women like midair doing crazy ballet kind of things. And he asked me if I wanted to be photographed for free. And I weirdly was getting my photo taken in the next couple days. So I just said, I'm getting my photo taken at this location. If you want to come, and we'll just, when that's over, you and I can do some. And he was like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Then on the day, I do the first set of photos. And then it's time for me to work with this guy. And I had to do a little bit of a costume change. Like I needed to change my sweater or something. And I had to take my shirt off, and I went to like an area where I would have some privacy to do that, to turn my back to him. And he goes, well, it's nothing I haven't seen before. And I was like, okay, I get that you do this a lot and that you're around naked women a lot and it's whatever to you.
Yeah.
But you literally haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
You've never seen me before.
Right. Yeah. And like it didn't even cross his mind that maybe you wouldn't be comfortable in that scenario.
Right.
He's like, oh, you think I'd be weird? No. I'd be totally cool seeing your boobs, Kate.
Right. And I'm like, well, this is a two-way street.
Yeah.
So like you said, as long as both parties are chill about taking it to that X-rated level,
yeah,
great. But this dude pissed me off so much. We did the photos and then I barely spoke to him. And then when I got the photos back, they were awful. Awful. Like amateur for real, for real.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it possible he was a creep and that was his way in? He was like, today I'm wooing Kateline and I'm doing it through photography.
Maybe, but he was married.
Uh-oh. Okay.
And he still is and has a family. And
same lady?
And yeah, and this was like, 15 plus years ago, and nothing has come out about him being a creeper. So I don't know, but it creeped me out.
So when people put this on Kevin Brown, I get it where you're a little hesitant because there is a history of creepers using that to find victims. But according to his wife and other people, like that didn't happen with him. And even his wife is like, he showed me some of the pictures. They're like G-rated.
Yeah.
He'd shown me some, and majority were just like just cutesy poses, glamour shots.
She's like, it was like whatever. His wife was awesome.
And also, you know that even if some of them weren't G-rated, she was still down.
Of course.
Because she knew it was artistic and was like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's before my time. Who cares?
Exactly.
She was cool.
She's like, he was probably stoked because he was going to get laid, and more power to him. Like, I don't...
Totally. She had a great attitude about it, and
yeah,
she knew her husband. And to me, it didn't come off like, oh, Valerie, sweet Valerie. You were in denial that your husband was actually a creeper. It was like, no, she knew her husband. He was fine.
Yeah.
His wife, Rebecca Brown, stood by him.
But I never thought he was a killer. Never.
So naturally, we present all this stuff, and we're going, boy, none of that, absolutely none of that sounds like it's enough to arrest the guy or even go talk to him, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But not to Detective Lambert, because in January of 2014, after doing a year on this case, he goes to Brown's house with his partner, and is like, we got to ask you some questions about some deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Brown, he's retired now for 12 years. He doesn't know what, he's just like, okay, questions about an old case, come on, bring it in. He's none the wiser.
So they show him a picture of Claire Huff, and he's like, oh yeah, I remember her, because he worked as a criminalist for the San Diego Police Department when they were investigating her murder, and it was all over the news. So he's like, yeah, I remember her. You're asking me about this victim?
Yeah.
And he's thinking like, no big deal. Like, yeah, what's up? And they're like, oh, you remember her?
Yeah, and there's a few statements he says where they run with, and this is the first one, because they're like, why do you remember her? What do you mean?
What did he say?
Oh, sure, I remember her.
And like you're saying, and like the lawyers say, it was a very famous case at the time.
He worked in the police department. He worked for the police department that was investigating her death. Of course he remembers her.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Torrey Pines Beach.
Real talk, I loved his lawyers. They were speaking our language.
It was a well-known case, and that photograph that they showed him had been one that had been in the newspaper.
So, old Detective Lambert is really grilling him here, and I got extra info for you, Kate. Guess what trick he used? So the detective went there with one goal, and that was to connect the accused and convicted rapist, Tatro, connect him to Kevin Brown. Because other than maybe being at the same strip club one night, there's no reason why these two would overlap. Mm-hmm. But to this detective, they're freaking partners in crime. So he does what all American cops love to do that we've talked about many times, lie his ass off. He has his buddy at the station make a false police report, okay? Fill it out that says that Tatro was pulled over a few years ago, and he said that he knew Kevin Brown. So that's what this detective shows up with. He goes, I mean, the guy himself says that he knows you, dude. Like, so what's up, Kinky Kev? Like, are you friends with Tatro or what?
Investigators could never say if or when or how Kevin Brown, the mild-mannered criminalist, met Ronald Tatro, the violent, convicted rapist.
And of course, Kevin Brown's like, I don't know who that is. I don't know what you're talking about. Because again, he's like, there's nothing doing here.
No, they just made it up. And he's like, I don't know him.
Yeah. And this is not good enough for these detectives. And Kevin Brown is so willing. I think, here's the unfortunate part. I think it was his idea. It was his idea for the polygraph. He goes, listen, if you want me to take a polygraph, I'll do it right now. So they went to a station and did it. So the polygraph happens. Naturally, he fails. That's all we hear, right?
Kevin Brown volunteered to take a lie detector test. He failed.
No. I got the deets. On most of the questions, it was inconclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Not like, failed to the nines or whatever. Inconclusive. And on the question of, did you know Claire Huff and did you murder her? It said deception possible. And now guess what? As his buddy, his ex-polygrapher friend tells him, they don't tell you whether you lie or not. They tell you if you're anxious or not. And what's one thing that old Kevin Brown is known for since he was a child? Okay.
Anxiety.
Yeah, having crippling anxiety and being awful at talking to people. And he was known as you could bully him into saying whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
I could almost convince him to say anything. You can bully him. It was easy to bully him.
He never should have agreed to take a polygraph. I don't know that back then people knew that polygraphs measure your anxiety and your heart rate and stuff.
In 2014?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I think even still today, people don't realize that. They think it can literally tell if you're lying or not instead of just telling in the moment if your heart starts racing and you get anxious, they think that could mean you're trying to be deceptive when really you don't want to go to prison for a murder you didn't commit. So you're anxious.
Yeah.
It's not a lie detector. It's a change in heart rate. And
it's a heart rate monitor. A really weird way to have a heart rate monitor. Like, that's all it is. It especially makes sense when you know that also in the same conversation, they're yelling at him about Claire Huff, about he took photos of her and had sex with her and killed her. And he, because he's trying to be like a good Samaritan and help all he can, he had called them back and go, you know what, actually I did know a Claire in the 80s and we might have had sex. Now, he describes this as being a 30-year-old woman. And even in the affidavit, it says that the cops at the time said this does not sound like Claire, because Claire was 14. Mm-hmm. And now another one of the things that Brown said that everybody's so blah about is the cops, of course, do the classic, like, look, we know for a fact that at the time you didn't know she was 14. Like, they're trying to coax him into, like, being like, you got me. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I had no idea. And because in his head, the Claire he had sex with was 30.
Yeah.
Was 30 years old.
So he's genuinely like, well, that's crazy. I had no idea because she looked 30.
Yeah.
Because she was 30.
Yeah, so naturally he doesn't know how to react to this. And so his answers being deceptive or whatever, all that makes sense. And the cops, though, this is all guaranteed he's guilty. And talk about tunnel vision, right? I mean, they run with this hard. And their biggest thing is, well, they love to talk about the polygraph and all this stuff. And they love to talk about a friend that said Kevin Brown told him that he took pictures of a girl on a beach who was later murdered. Untrue, okay?
The man to whom this statement is attributed says he never said such a thing.
But what the cops are really hanging on to is this DNA hit. And the reason why is it's not a blood match or a DNA match specifically. It's actually spermatozoa. It's a literal semen match. So that means they matched his semen to a vaginal swab that was kept from in 84. Now, before we talk about what goes down then, I got one thing I got to tell. Back in 84, all they could do were blood and semen swabs, right? They did not find, when they did the swabs back then, they did not find blood or semen at all with these same swabs. Those were then sent to the lab where he worked at, and then that's where the hit happened. So, like, there was a point in 84 where this was tested for stuff and it wasn't found at all. Blood or semen. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So when was it found?
Well, I mean, it was found in 2012 because... Okay, so here's the deal. This is it, Kate. This is 4 years in the making. Where 4 years ago, I was like, God, I wish I had a podcast. I swear to God, I thought that. I wish I had a podcast or something that I could talk about this. The reason why the cops are so gung-ho is because they're like, we've got his sperm. It's not like he's sweating to the Petri dish or whatever. And me, 2021 Kurt's going, yeah, this guy sounds dead to rights. Like, this sounds like this guy did it. I mean, it's sperm. And then they drop the bomb on us. It turns out that back in the day, they would do this thing where in order to test semen, they had to have a sample, like a constant. They had to have something that they knew was semen.
A control sample.
Now, what they were supposed to do was call up a lab and get a frozen chunk of semen sent over. But what most of these criminalists did, including Kevin Brown and everybody he worked with, they brought in their own samples.
Yep.
What? What?
Bring your semen to work day. They would bring in their own fresh semen that they had collected right before they came into work, maybe in the parking lot, who knows, and use that as the control against whatever they were testing.
At the time of Claire Huff's murder, criminalists would often bring their own seminal fluid to the lab and use it to ensure the chemicals used to detect semen were working correctly.
Not only that, but they weren't conscious of exposing things in the lab.
Well, no, because in the early 80s, DNA wasn't a consideration. So they get a pass. But I'm just like, the fact that this was accepted is just so insane to me. I could not imagine walking into a room with my colleagues and going like, well, here's my jizz. Right?
And then,
like, if you guys need jizz for your tests, here's mine.
While it's being tested, there's just open containers of jizz in this lab. Nothing was covered. Nothing was secured.
Yeah, and specifically, swabs were left to dry in open air. Okay, now I've got specifics on this. Kevin Brown did not work on the specific vaginal swab for Claire, but he was in the room when it was being worked on. And this room was the size of a 2-car garage.
Right.
I read that. So pretty tiny when it comes to, even the criminalist that Schlesinger talks to is like, we wore the same gloves for everything, every procedure. That was wild too, right?
I can't believe everything wasn't just contaminated all the time.
It's like, how do we trust that stuff, honestly? Because it's a problem, because people hear DNA match and they think it's, well, this is infallible. DNA doesn't lie. And it's like, well, here's the deal with human error and the medical system in the early 80s. It's not what you thought it was.
No.
How different were the procedures back then?
A lot. I mean, we didn't wear masks for sure.
In the article, the guy says it was like if surgeons were operating in a barn. When you saw this in the episode, Kate, was this the first time you heard about this?
Yes. This is the first time I've ever heard about bringing your own semen sample. And then I don't know that I had ever heard the details about how lax labs were either at the time. So for me, this was all uncharted territory.
Yeah. And they said it so matter-of-factly. And I was like, please don't tell me this is still the way. And I think when DNA came around, they didn't have to, thank God. But I'm so shocked. If you would have told me this is what they did in the 1800s, I still would have been like, tisk, tisk. Not in the early 80s. That's insanity.
But also, again, CSI, I feel like that's been on the air for 30 years. We've learned, we all kind of have a general sense of what labs should be like.
That's true. But the specific thing, the test that they were doing where they would compare like what they knew as semen to a fluid that they didn't know what it was, it apparently failed all the time. So even back then, the process they were using was not successful.
Jesus. Way to go, guys.
Yeah, and we're talking a microscopic sample, so small, in fact, that it might not even be semen. Like, it's at a level where the criminalists are saying it could be saliva. It's potentially not even semen.
If the swab was laying there uncovered, drying, and he's walking by saying something, he could have spit on it.
Yeah. So that's all they have on him DNA-wise. And also, guess why Kevin Brown's DNA was in CODIS at this point?
Why?
Because at some point, these criminalists realized, oh, this could be really like cross-contamination stuff. We should get ours in the system so people, like, if this shows up, be like, well, he was one of the doctors. Like, this was such a problem.
Oh my God.
That they realized the error of their ways so much that they were all required to submit their DNA for CODIS to protect them from stuff like this. Isn't that crazy?
And is that just the San Diego crime lab, or was that happening at crime labs everywhere where all of a sudden criminalists are in CODIS?
I think it's everywhere, or at least in America. I can't.
Okay.
But they do talk about how cross-contamination cases happen. Look, you don't have to convince me of it. I've seen it before. Like, there was a lady who was giving a tour to potential criminalists, talking over a sample, and like her stuff ended up in there. And she had to go on trial and go like, yeah, that wasn't smart of me. Like, so this stuff happens a lot.
Wow.
Cross-contamination does happen. There have been cases of lab technicians' DNA ending up on evidence documented in several states and at least 4 other countries.
But old Detective Lambert, he's not buying it. And he actually says, in the affidavit, he says, we are 100% confident that this is not a case of cross-contamination. They said that. And the actual criminalists in the lab he's talking about are going, I'm sorry, where did you learn that? Because it 100% was. Like, we're telling you it was cross-contaminated. We're the ones working there.
Yeah.
Lambert doesn't give it. He's like, we got our guy. And again, he's thinking Tatro and Brown. I don't know why, but they're 2 rape buddies. And, hey, they'd love to bring old Tatro down, but where's he at, Kate?
Prison?
No. He died mysteriously in 2011.
Oh, right.
This is potentially suicide number 2, where he was in a boating accident.
Oh, right.
And now this boating accident, they found his boat with his wallet, his phone, and his hat, like, placed neatly on the seat.
Yeah.
And if that's not enough to convince you it's a suicide, it was on the exact date. It was the anniversary of Claire Huff's death. It was August 24th, 2011. The exact day.
He killed himself.
Yes.
To this day, there is suspicion it was a suicide.
So that's number 2. So now the cops are like, well, Tatro did it, but it doesn't matter because he's out of there. We got to focus all our attentions on Brown. And they were coming at him hard, left and right. And his wife, Rebecca, is like, just tell them. He's like, I can't. Every time I call them, they just say, we know you did it. We know you did it. And then they hang up. Classic cop stuff.
He hung up the phone and he said, I didn't even say anything back to him, Beck, because I didn't know what else to say at this point. He said, I didn't do it and they're not going to ever believe me.
So, like, at this point, he's feeling helpless. And one day, Rebecca comes home to find Kevin's Bible on the table with a passage highlighted about people who are wrongfully accused. And then next to that was his watch and some other personal items. They couldn't find him. And the mom was like, he left. He was like showered and shaved, and he had stuff to take care of. Now, where'd they find him the very next day?
He had hung himself. He was hanging from a tree.
Yeah, in a state park. He killed himself.
This is suicide number 3.
Yeah.
You thought you had kept him safe. Oh, my.
Look, even his wife, and I'm sitting here going, I get it too, dude. He felt this was a lose-lose situation. Even if he won the case in court, people are still going to accuse him because they hear the fact about the semen, and that's much more believable than these scientists would bring their own semen in to test. Like, that's an easier fact to believe. And so he's like, there's no way out for this.
Honestly, I probably would have been one of those people that was like, I don't know, man, your semen, that's pretty open and shut.
Yeah. Absolutely. When I first saw this episode, I was like, wow, this is a good one. It was this dude in the lab who did it. And it's like, no, it wasn't at all. Now, you would think because he killed himself and everybody's dead, they would move on or look for another suspect. No, instead, the SDDPD, they call a news conference 3 days after the death of Kevin Brown. And they say, Kevin Brown killed himself. We were preparing to arrest him for this. But now that he killed himself, case is closed. Why did they have this conference, Kate?
We were able to establish a very strong case that Ronald Tatro and Kevin Brown were the suspects in the murder of Claire Huff. And also an arrest for Brown would be forthcoming.
I mean, is this not the meanest ever?
It's
to say we were building a case. Like, they don't have to prove it. They could just say we were building one.
Now his reputation and the reputation of his family and friends, it's just, why do this?
Yeah.
And why didn't they actually look at Tatro for this? Why were they so sure that it was Brown?
Well, what I can't wrap my head around is that they're so sure the two of them did it together. I know that sounds weird. That's their 100% theory and proof.
Yeah.
Is that Tatro did it, but he did it with Brown. And they're basing it all on strip clubs and like bad science, right? Like,
they didn't know each other.
And the only reason why they did it was because Tatro was dead by the time. Like, they just wanted somebody to arrest. This was a cold case investigator too in 2012. So he's like itching for something good.
Yeah, I guess it sucks when the person you know is probably guilty has already died and you can't parade them in front of photographers and take them to court. But if they did it, that's who did it. You can't just make up a suspect.
Yeah. So obviously Rebecca Brown was not happy about that.
No.
Watching this conference 3 days after he died. And so she sued them.
And won.
And got $6 million from the San Diego Police Department, who refused to comment on this story for some reason.
I wonder. That's so interesting that they would refuse that.
The San Diego Police Department refused our request for an interview.
I'm so pumped that she won. Because this, I can't. And even with all this, Claire's parents still think that Kevin Brown did it. They said, we have full faith in the police department.
You shouldn't.
Wrong move.
You shouldn't.
You too. Wrong freaking move.
We're confident in the San Diego Police Department and their discoveries.
Oh, we got to say, Jim Alt, the boyfriend that was with Barbara, he did eventually get an apology letter from Ralph, Barbara's dad. And we heard it. It was not quite as apologetic as I wanted it to be. What'd you think, Kate? What'd you think?
Well, I don't remember it, so it probably meant nothing.
It was just a lot of stuff like, it said like, he's the one who said red-blooded American male. He's the one, because he's like, you just wanted to sleep with her because you were a young teen, and like, it was probably 1 in a million that happened to you guys that night. That's like, dude, what? Come on, stop with the probability stuff.
That's not what we're looking for. You let your daughter go off with another child and then got mad when they were hurt.
Yeah. So that sucks. And also at this point, now in 2008, the department was like, they're connected. Today, they're not connected at all. The Barbara Nantes case is unrelated and still open. And now here's some info. One, Tatro at the time, in 78, he was in prison for rape. So he didn't do it. Okay? Mm-hmm. And Brown was at school in Sacramento, 500 miles away.
Yeah.
So sounds like he didn't do it either.
Yeah.
When I texted you the other day about when you said like something about being happy or something, I thought this is kind of a bummer ending.
It is.
Because the case is still open and the poor guy who was accused killed himself. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sucks, man.
3 suicides. But I'm not saying that suicide is ever the answer, but you can absolutely see why he felt like that was his only way out.
Yeah.
Because they were going to put him in prison.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think 100% they would. Now, it sucks that he left it all for his wife to deal with. I absolutely get that too. But I mean, because even on Reddit, I was looking around on this and it was on Unsolved Mysteries Reddit. I couldn't find if it was in an episode, although it sounds like a primo Unsolved Mysteries topic.
Totally.
But in the comments, somebody was saying this bullshit about like his background and character. It says that it did it. And this is just because the noose was tightening. And I logged in and said, "Oh, really?" I came at him. I said, "Give me a break." I was real mad at him, Kate.
Dude.
Anyway, we'll see if they reply. But I said other stuff. I was...
What's your Reddit handle?
I'm not telling you.
Is it K-Money?
Nope. I'm not going to say it on air because I don't really use it for professional. I really rarely comment. And the only things I've ever commented on is the boards and the FF boards. That's the only things I've ever commented on. Anyway, is it time for those lists, Kate?
I think it is.
Hit me.
Kate's unnamed list. Well, I got nothing.
Kate.
What?
I direct you to the end of the episode when we find out that Claire, as a 14-year-old, had written her own will. Okay? And when Richard asked the mom about this, she says, "Well, that'll always be a puzzle."
Okay, but...
No buts.
It's not a puzzle piece.
It's puzzle.
It's not a missing piece of the puzzle.
You're trying to save face here, Kate. That's a missed op.
She could have just said it'll always be a mystery.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, it's like...
Doesn't matter.
It's always a puzzle why she did it.
If you want that to be included, it can be included, but it did not strike me.
You didn't? Okay. All right. I guess...
They were also like, I wonder why she felt compelled as a 14-year-old to leave a will.
Right.
And that was kind of odd.
Yeah. Sounds like a real puzzle. But... Also, so I mistakenly thought this was only on YouTube. I watched the one that was on P+. And here's another thing I love about these old 48 Hours is it still had commercials for other CBS content that they would... It's like the ads that weren't officially ads. They're like baked in. They're part of the episode.
Oh.
Okay? And so there was this show called like, You Can't Get Enough of NCIS. Well, check this out. And they're talking about like real life cases that like look like NCIS stuff or something. And this is what's nuts. I screamed today when I saw it. Is the sound up for the commercial was...
It's like finding a needle in 1,000 haystacks.
How funny is that, huh?
Oh, God.
So, I mean, that made your list, but only in that version. So
that made my list for sure.
Yeah. I love it so much. Oh, another thing in the title sequence... It says what season and episode this is. A thing that Dateline would never, ever do for some crazy reason.
Never. Because they reserve the right to put it anywhere on any channel in any order.
And in any format.
The last day.
So these are points for 48 Hours. I loved it. All right, so other than that huge miss on the puzzle, Kate, you got anything else?
No, Kurt.
On to Kurt's Kick-Ass List.
Kick-Ass List.
I got a few. This one we haven't had in a while is Rebecca and Kevin met the old-fashioned way. Right? It wasn't online dating. It was from the classifieds.
Oh, yeah.
Rebecca and Kevin met in 1992 through the old school version of online dating, the classifieds.
That's good. And we got to count this DNA thing too, I suppose, right?
What do you mean?
Like, the classic example is, now mind you, they didn't have DNA back then, okay? Like, it was the 1980s.
Right.
Like, this was a foreign concept to them. So that was in there as well. And, you know, we're talking movies. We didn't get any titles, but we're talking dirty movies and porn movies. And that counts, baby.
Those are movies.
That's on my list.
That is cinema.
He would go to, what, dirty movies?
Yep, straight up. And I believe that is it. All right, so that's going to do it for this 48 Hours. What'd you think, Kate? Was this fun or was this miserable?
Not miserable, no. But I think
Sweet.
I want to put 60 Minutes Australia on our list.
Find an app. Let's do it.
60 Minutes Australia is leaps and bounds better than 60 Minutes America.
Where are you watching it? YouTube?
YouTube.
Okay. Well, I'm just curious to watch it. I mean, find an episode for us to do, absolutely, but I just want to watch. I mean, you know how much I love British true crime shows.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe you love Aussie ones, too.
Boom. I can't wait. And on that note, I'm Kurt Money.
I'm Kateline.
It's stronger than oak.